right, what's up, everybody? Hey, Adair, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I was going to make sure my mic is turned on. So cheers. Hydration Nation's in the building. And welcome to the Market Recap Show. We're ready to rock and roll right now. We are brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Of course, we will have the Benzinga Pro platform up for you. So as soon as some of those earnings come through, we are ready to rock and roll. I'll have to get the roll call loaded up. We're excited to have everybody joining us one more time today. MicroStrategies is now out. So here we go. MSTR, Dare will get those numbers for us in just a second. Let's flip this over. A loss of $3.09. There goes MSTR right now down to 12 change right now, 1.25K. So good revenue right now on MSTR. We're going to wait to see what happens. Not a big mover right now, only down 2.39%. Not sure what the expected move was on this one, but it is MSTR with a downside move there. Did you get those numbers already?
I will see. I didn't see an expected move on this. I was looking ahead of them, so I'm not really sure what the expected analyst move on this name was. They do currently hold 214,400 Bitcoin, so we know that BTC holdings are a huge part of what Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy does. They do currently have the 214,400 Bitcoin. Basically seeing that their Q1, okay, so this actually we did get in here. Q1 revenue lower than expected, so 115.2 billion versus 201.7 billion expected here. So we did have, so 115.2 million versus 121.7 million expected here. So I'm just trying to read the way this is written. So yeah, revenue miss, basically. Q1 revenue miss.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, good job there. We have Para going to the upside right now as well. Para with a nice one. Bang on that up to 1280. Starting to go upside right now for Paramount. They are out as well. We'll switch it over to the daily chart. You know, this name's got to get to 1314, 1350 or so. We'll see if Paramount can get to that. I'm not certain. Right now, nice move up for Paramount. But it was MSTR, the name that are starting to go. We'll just quickly go. We still do have a couple names coming out with NXPI, Paramount now out as well. But I did want to go over to the stock heat map just real quickly because today we had a pretty interesting day. Get me off there, Fabian, or who is that, Ramin? And then we'll just talk about some of these names that are moving around. So we are slightly positive on the day following notable strength from Thursday and Friday session. So a nice carry forward into the day today. However, there was a drop on that Treasury announcement there at 3 p.m. where we actually got higher cash reserves coming in, 243 billion versus 200 billion, starting to send some of these names to the downside, including Google, Meta, Microsoft, and the overall market started to make a move down. But then we got some good names here moving today, including Apple with their AI talk, looking at chat. We had Tesla. Where's my Tesla today? There it is right there, 15% at the end of the day. They're taking steps towards bringing FSD technology into the Chinese marketplace. So some good numbers there. Tesla, Domino's starting to go to the upside. Tomorrow we have PayPal and Eli Lilly, which should be exciting as well. DPZ today, nice mover up 5 and a bit, taking out those highs for Domino's, starting to continue that upside move. And there's uranium. We will have Michael Nauss on. He's been talking uranium for a minute as well, but some nice moves high side there. And there is the consumer discretionary ETF. That is Tesla. So there today, up 2.3%. Largest holding there is going to be TSLA. Again, consumer discretionary or not, helping that to the upside right there. And this was Tesla, TSLA. What a day it was today. My number one stock traded. It was a sticky no name that we loved. Tesla, huge move off earnings, bringing FSD to everybody's life, hopefully, and making that a wonderful experience. Tesla tomorrow should be one for the ages. So again, so far so good there, Adair. Did anything else come out?
Yeah, we did get those Paramount numbers. So the Paramount numbers came in here. Revenue is a miss. 7.68 billion versus 7.77 billion expected. They did, however, have an increased quarterly ad revenue higher than expected here for direct-to-consumer. So 520 million versus 398 million expected. So more than $100 million ahead of the expectations here. The other big thing they mentioned, so quarterly Paramount Plus revenue increasing, 51% year over year, reaching more than 71 million global subscribers. So that, of course, is a great number. Bob Bakish, CEO, also set to step down, being replaced by a CEO office of 3 senior executives. So interesting choice there for Paramount right now. So instead, Bob Bakish is being replaced by the combined efforts of George Cheeks, Chris McCarthy, and Brian Robbins.
Yeah, there goes. We'll hit a fail on that one. I never like it when 3 people do the job of 1 person. It feels like you can never get enough done.
Yeah, it's an odd decision.
Yeah, I like it when 1 person makes the decisions, but there it goes. Paramount right now to the downside. Still up 4% from the day, but it is a nice pullback in. We were up as high as $13. Damn, this setting powder, I think, is in my eye. $13 all the way upside, all the way back down to $12.50, $12.60 right now for Paramount. If we're going to look at a daily chart for these guys, I mean, you need to break that 13.8, 13.20 area, the 200 period. But I don't mind this kind of a move right now. Check out MSTR one more time, just because I know there's some of you looking at that one. Nice move to the downside. A highly levered name. With MicroStrategy against BTC. So I'm pretty happy with this report. We'll find out. Obviously, as Bitcoin moves, so will MSTR. So far, so good there. Okay, so what was pretty strong today? Housing a little strong there with, XLB with the materials side of things. Nice day for XLB, holding out, trying to make moves off that bottom as well. Energy, utilities in play. Look at this. You want to talk about a breakout on a daily? How good does this look right now? Breaking through 67 and now trying to get through 70 is, of course, the utilities. We had some good news from Caterpillar, a bad trade for Caterpillar, but holding those bottoms, John Deere as well. Industrials, I believe, can work in this space as well. FXI, our guest this morning, loving China, and we've been talking about yin and yang for a minute. It does look like FXI continues to go to the high side right now. We still are waiting for, again, a huge chip name, man. NXPI. Last earnings report comes out. Right now we're expecting 316 EPS and revenue of 313. So if we get 3.13 billion, that's the revenue number we're looking for NXPI. We're also looking for an EPS right now of $3.16. They got the double beat of Dara last report. So we'll see if they can hold out hope for that. NXPI. For me, I was pretty happy with NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA's had a nice move to the downside there, 760. See ya, Fabian. Oh, this guy wears his sunglasses at night, I can see right there. Yeah. Shout out to Fabian. Looking cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
You heard that term.
Cool as a cucumber, yeah.
Yeah, okay, not making that up, okay. 906 there, we'll look for that top level for NVIDIA. I'm excited for this play. I think we can get breaking through there, and then NVIDIA goes back, hits those highs. We've talked about possibly putting an anchor on NVIDIA from these breakout levels. So if you go to the last time we've touched this 50-period moving average and drop an anchor there, look where we touched. 752, the bottom of that anchored VWAP. A big shout out again to Trade Ideas and my good friend Brian Shannon for the anchored VWAP. That was a really good hold. But today was the Tesla day. I mean, again, a monster move up. I don't know, Adara. We can talk about Tesla all we want. It made that bottom down there at 140, 150. And now all of a sudden, we talked about the different levers they can pull. This is just another one. There's another AI thing that they can talk about. They can even do more than this. We're just talking China right now. This is going to get through India. What about when he drops the price of full self-drive? What about when he drops the price of this Model 2 and that comes through? What do you think about Tesla? Did you have an experience trading it today?
Yeah, I trust. Did I trade? Yeah, I traded Tesla briefly. I took that short below that 196 area briefly, but I took it on TSLA. So that was a successful trade. That was the only trade I had, and I really liked the setup and didn't want to try to trade it again. I know you had that $10 winner on that long earlier as well. But I think in terms of my thoughts on Tesla, longer term, I think everyone was waiting for that full self-drive news. I've mentioned this before as well. I like to visit Tesla Bull Twitter to see what the really hardcore Elon fans are thinking. They have always said that Tesla is more of a tech company, much like Elon himself. So they're all very down for that full self-drive announcement. It seems like Tesla is in a good position. They also did announce earlier today as well. Apparently the shareholder votes are open. So that shareholder meeting could get really interesting with regards to potential proxy votes. And also we know the ongoing incorporation concerns moving that potentially to Texas. So I think certainly lots of updates to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, I just want everyone to make sure that they understand that Tesla can still drop from here.
That's true, too.
I mean, we get a little bit of good news. It does rally up there. We knew the shorts were going to get squeezed. I said when I woke up, I looked at my phone. I got a note from CNBC. It was like, Tesla up 11%. I'm like, I'm going long. So we had to find an area to do that, and we did that today. So if you come over here, I just want to show everybody a quick little trade on Tesla that we had. We had marked it down. We will talk about the sticky note a little bit later. We do have Michael Nauss coming on right now, but we knew we wanted to go long. So there he is. Hey, what's up? Nice looking tux there. As we go to the downside, there it is right now. Happy Monday to everybody, but there it was. Tesla down to 185. We knew we wanted the long. We talked about that. We knew we'd had to pay up for this as well, but we did want to dip by back to view up a couple times. So we actually marked that down, and here's the Tesla trade. Continuously dipping pretty much all day. Not too happy with what we did at the end. We gave back probably about 20%, maybe a little bit less, because we had a good trade at the end. But early into Tesla, here's the dips into that 185, winds up holding, and then there's that $10 winner that you mentioned. Nice move to the upside before we finally broke the 50-period moving average, and that got me well out of that Tesla trade. But that was just a good idea, I feel like, for Tesla. Now let's move back on and just see what was down today. So we actually had, it looks like, bless you. That was a kind of a funny sneeze there. Okay, so we did have the XLF down, but just slightly down today. So as you can see, the XLF starting to move around a little bit on the daily chart, hitting the 50-period moving average. Again, names like Wells Fargo, names like JP Morgan, still really strong off of earnings. The biggest gift in this whole space was this day right here on Morgan when we dropped down on the investigations of their wealth management wing, which turned out to, I guess, be par for the course, because we bounced right back up. And I guess when you're a bank, Adara, you're going to have some potentially insider dealings, but maybe we'll find out what's going on with that one. NXPI is now out.
Those earnings. Yeah,
okay, so let me just quickly check what the reaction to the stock is. 245 up to 257. That's a banger right there for NXPI, up that 6.3%, nearing expected move right now. The estimate was $3.16. It looks like it's a beat. They're out right now. NXPI up 6 and change. Where are we on the daily? Looks like we're right up here into 260. The weekly, I think we're still off a little bit. No, if we can take this out, NXPI looking pretty good. We'll wait for guidance. Real traders stay late, but right now we're late, of course, with a brand new trader, Adara. Give us that news there on NXPI.
Yeah, so we did get really nice numbers across the board here. Q1 gross margin, 57%. Q1 EBIT margin, 27%, but in terms of the actual numbers, we had a beat on EPS, 3.24, so 324 versus the expected 316. That is a beat. We also did get Q1 revenue slightly higher than expected, 3.13 billion versus 3.127 billion expected. So slight beat, but still a beat nonetheless there. Also adjusted Q1 EBIT margin, 34.5%, so nice margins across the board here. They did provide their guidance. I'm not seeing how their guidance compared to the expected guidance here, but Q2 adjusted SHR here, $3 to $3.41. Q2 GAAP earnings per share diluted, pretty wide range here, 236 to 277. Generally, though, the market reacting really positively to this, guys.
All right, good job there, Adara. Yeah, as it starts to go to the downside. We will talk about some earnings that we have coming up tomorrow. We have McDonald's, we have Eli Lilly. I talked about Eli Lilly on the podcast as well. That was decent. Look, we'll see if they can beat tomorrow and come out with their GLP-1 and so on and so forth. Sofi today slap a fail on that one, as well as Sofi's all the way to the downside. But the story today is NXPI, so we'll go bang for that one. Looking at 258, trying to take out some higher levels. We have Michael Nauss coming on in just a couple seconds. But again, there it is, the 1 minute. Shout out to Trade Ideas. Watch this. Fling right over there into the daily. I love this little picture-in-picture stuff, so you can get your chart down here and just flip it right over, and then you can see the 1 minute chart, compare it to the daily. It has up here year to date up 19% for NXPI. I wanted to bring note to Sofi today. Not a great report. Let's see if it can hold $7. But look at Sofi year to date, down 15%, down 10 of that today alone. Pretty disgusting day for Sofi. Could not get going, and I wanted to go long this name. We had sort of pegged down here near $7 as a decent long. I said that we would probably be under $7 tomorrow, Adara. So mark my words for that, and let's talk about that tomorrow. But you know what's happening now?
I do.
What is it?
Michael Nauss.
It is your trader of the day. Let's go. It's Trader Talk. It's Michael Nauss. Hey, Michael. Welcome back. How are you?
Thanks for having me. How were things when I was away? I see you crashed the market the second I left.
Yeah, we did a little bit of that. We changed like our intro music. It got like all dreary, and then ever since then, it's just been to the downside. You know what? I often feel like, Michael, and by the way, congratulations.
Thanks.
And we're glad to hear all of that. Take this out of my ear. I have some more news coming in right now. Okay. Are you like me though? No matter what's sort of happening in your family life, not anything, but the market's always on our mind, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I'm always kind of looking at the cell phone, figuring this all out. And when I woke up this morning to that Tesla news, I was like, I want to go long Tesla because I'm a catalyst kind of guy. Is there anything, and I know we're going to talk about mRNA, but can we talk maybe a little bit about Tesla? Because I bought that 185 level. I'm getting a little nervous that we didn't break through 200, maybe as a psychological barrier. Is it something that you may short if we get near 200 tomorrow?
I'm not going to be a big one on Tesla. So first of all, to answer your question, yes, especially now that Trade Ideas works on your phone and your iPad. There has been a lot of a baby sleeping in one hand, and then maybe seeing what the sector scope is
Wait, how
showing
do
me
I?
for all the sectors in the other hand. But when it comes to Tesla, we just got to face it. This one's been a bit of a dog of the overall market. We have, the SPY. Yes, it pulled back 4 or 5%, but it's nothing really crazy. We're in a massive bull market. We're year two of a bull market,
Right.
and Tesla's down, I think, still 40% or so from highs. This 200, I think you pointed out exactly right, where it's, a gap fill. It's also a prior high back here. There's a lot going on. And just the way I trade, I'm looking for things that are more in established uptrends
Right.
and showing relative strength to the market. And when I look at something like Tesla, I just see, relative weakness, especially to that whole tech sector. I don't know if this is a massive sell the news on the Cybertruck stuff that's going on. I didn't see the news this morning, but yes, we did have a little bit of a push up. I just see a whole lot of resistance overhead on this name.
It's just funny because, yeah, up 15%, adding huge amounts of market cap today. And the news is that in China, they've opened up the gate for full self-drive. So before they were sort of blocking the data going back and forth. So now they're allowing that to happen. So hopefully Tesla can go out there and map and then maybe, distribute the full self-driving technology into Asia and through China. So I feel like that was a good move there. But I'm with you, maybe a little too jittery there to establish a trend. We'll wait to see. I think a fade through 200 would be my personal opinion. A couple names that you and I talked about. I know you like to scan through some sectors, and we had talked briefly today. It was biotech, right? So I wasn't sure if you were looking at IBB, individual names or not, but I know you like sort of a top-down approach. Find something that's maybe breaking out, and then look underneath the hood and see if there's any attractive names. So, Mr. Nauss, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so if we just go back to my screen for a second
Yep.
here, this heat map I have on the right hand side is essentially everything that's up here is outperforming the S&P 500 today, and everything down here is underperforming. A quick look, you can usually gather themes. So, for example, wheat, the wheat ETF was down the most. We had banks down pretty hard. We had gold and silver down hard, and then up we had biotechs, we had ARC. We had consumer discretionary. This shows me that today was a bit of a risk-on flip.
I want that
They were
one.
selling the things that could be considered quote unquote safe, and they were buying some things that could be more aggressive. So when it comes to this looking for aggressive and XBI being right on the top, I want to take a look at that. And we have a pretty established downtrend line that I'm looking at right here on XBI, and just saying, hey, if we're going to break this downtrend after this, yes, prolonged trend, but still actually doing fairly well, then I might want to get involved in this because I love trades like this where I know exactly where I'm wrong. If we close below this kind of $81 a share area, I know I'm wrong and it's time to go. But this downtrend line, I think, could be very interesting going forward in XBI and the overall market. And if we are going to get this rotation back into risk on assets, then I want to be flipping that as well. For people who've been watching the show for a while, I've been kind of all year saying, hey, I'm interested in gold and I'm interested in a lot of these, commodities and safer assets.
Yeah.
This is only day one, but this is day one of maybe a flip back to the more fun stuff. And if that's going to be the case, then I want to take a look at that as well.
I don't mind that when the XBI down 3% on the year could definitely get going. as we look at. I like that one. Do you prefer names? As I was looking, I was just kind of, because I led sort of with the IBB, which is a little bit different, obviously some different components. I almost like your XBI a little bit better because we're above the 200 period on the daily right now. With IBB, we're actually underneath it. So we do have potentially, for stuff that I look at, a little more support on this one. So that's a pretty good look right there. You and I had looked at maybe Moderna. Again, I'm not sure if this was a name that you had leveled up or not for us, but I like this. Are there any other names? I mean, this could possibly break out. This is looking pretty juicy to me here, 116, 117 type of break on that one as well. Sloping up, I can see, I've learned a little bit from you guys. Sloping up right now on the 50 period. Moderna not looking bad. Is there maybe another name, or what do you think of this call?
So the difference, if I remember correctly, between XBI and IBB is XBI is a little bit smaller cap.
Okay.
When it comes to these pharmaceutical and these biotech names, and IBB is a little bit bigger. So that might be a place to look at. The Moderna chart I have up here that you mentioned does look really, really good. You know, I think I say here once a week that I've been trained to buy smiley faces and sell frowny faces, and that's starting to look like a smiley face to me. If we can just get over these recent highs we've had, I really like the look of that. And 8 days to cover. So there's two ways to look at short float that we have at Trade Ideas. One is just the absolute percentage. It's only 7%, which isn't super extravagant. But what days to cover is it takes that amount of shares that are shorted, and it says, okay, if every trade in the stock was a buy to cover a short position, how many days would it take based off the average volume for all of the shorts to get out of the stock?
Right.
And we're talking 8.85, so 9 days to cover on this one. It could be a little bit of a squeeze on this name if we start to get through those levels. So I like that. I do have some names, though, that might be a little bit lower cap that may be interested as well from the pharmaceutical space. Shout out to Steve. And again, thank you for Steve and all of the rest of the amazing team you guys got to hang out with on Trade Ideas while I was gone. He's been all over this MindMed play. He was talking about on a podcast that we do that he bought a little on Friday. Had a nice little break of a downtrend line today. It's all about your risk levels. You know, when it comes to biotechs, it's very risky. So if you're a risk averse person, the ETFs are probably your move because you're diversifying against the single stock moves. If you're a little bit less risk averse, maybe you go for Moderna or a bigger cap name. If you're not risk adverse at all and you want to really take a shot at something, then I think you probably go to, you know, the smaller cap names like the MindMed and these smaller cap type of names.
You don't mind the MindMed trade at all. We saw Mullen, which has been reverse split a couple times, going absolutely crazy today. All right, you ready for an on-the-fly analysis here? It's going to be Carvana, CVNA. So you just reminded me, come over to my screen, we'll let Michael set it up a little bit. This is an interesting one, 8 days to cover. So now I'm going to start to look at this, Michael. I've only ever looked really at short flow percentages, so I haven't taken too much into consideration for days to cover. So I'm wondering if there was a number that gets you super excited. It sounded like you like that on Moderna at 8.8. So 8 should be just as good, 30% there. And the best, I don't know if it's the best part or not, but looky what I see over here. May 1st, only a couple more days. We've all heard about the rates. We've all heard about used car prices. But this might be a story, again, of short float with Tesla, with EV talk. Let's see if Carvana can hold fort, but it's looking real nice. I put an anchor on this gap fill right here from Feb 22nd, and we're all the way back to 75. Maybe that level holds or not, but I like Carvana here. What does it look like to you with 8 days to cover on CVNA?
Yeah, it looks great. So I would say anything over 5 days means they need to take an entire week of just buying the stock in order to get out of shorts. So 8 or 9 seems amazing. You talked about the anchored VWAP from the gap. I think that's a good way to do it. Also, an anchored VWAP from this major high right here, I think is another good way to do it. We cleared that yesterday, and we did so on fairly good volume. Today's candle is not the best, you know, topping tail, closed red. Market did the opposite, right? Pulled back in the day, but closed really, really strong. So that kind of worries me. And the fact that we rejected this, you know, call it $90 or so area where I have this blue line, that's kind of concerning to me as well. But it's a line in the sand. So what I'm going to do and what makes sense is I'm just going to set an alert here in Trade Ideas and say, hey, let me know when this thing gets to $90, $91 if we get a strong push out there. I think this one looks great. The shorts are still offside. This monthly chart, you talked about how I can just kind of flip to the monthly chart right here. You got to remember the low on this thing was like $4
I
a
know,
while ago,
ridiculous.
and now we're at 83. So any shorts that have been holding for anything like the time are not having a very good day.
No, I still remember when Morgan Stanley came out that day, they put a $1 price target on it and actually was debating bankruptcy. And then all of a sudden, I feel like sometimes like, boom, those catalysts, I mean, wow, to be able to hold that all the way up. So, okay, just real quick, we've seen a pullback in gold. So GLD just kind of coming back a little bit. I was thinking, I'm not in this, and you mentioned yourself that you've been talking about this for a while, so credit to you because that is the truth. You have been talking about this even from this break of 190 all the way to the upside. So congratulations on some of that call and anybody that's been following you on this one. But I don't know, is this enough of a pullback that if you're flat, maybe you put on gold? I don't know if we want to use it as a hedge. Maybe we don't need to get into that talk. But it's a decent pullback. Seems to have found support in here around 215. For a trader that's just looking to get into something, does this look okay on GLD?
Yeah, I like it. And just to answer the question quickly, no, I don't think gold is a hedge on anything.
Right.
We had the highest inflationary period that we've had for a long period of time. Gold didn't do anything. We had a pretty epic bear market and the gold didn't do anything. It's only when the bull market came. So, I look at it like it's a stock or an asset like anything else. If it's an uptrend, I want to own it. And it is. So, yeah, we have this little base for the last 4 or 5 days. On GLD, we're talking kind of 212 at the low and 217 at the high. I think at the very least, you have a very low risk place to take a shot. If we end up clearing that and getting into the gap here, you know exactly where you're wrong. And I love any trade that, it knows I know where I'm wrong. And again, the reason for this was always, we zoom way out, this is the monthly chart here, but we have this long-term kind of cup and handle break. If you want to do a measured move from it, which for those who don't know, in technical analysis, a lot of these patterns, they give us price targets. Doesn't mean it's always going to get there. Nothing's for sure and all that. But the low of GLD way back in 2016 was $99 a share.
Yeah.
The high is, say, 185. So let's say, $100 just to make the math easy. Well, you take that $100 and from the breakout point of $190, you're supposed to add that same value to it. So that puts us at 290. Now, that's a lofty goal, but if that's going to take place, then over the coming months and years, gold has a long way to go. So I think you're absolutely right in looking for pullbacks, looking for bases, looking for bull flags to try to take advantage of that trend as long as it's in place. And then when it breaks, it's time to move on.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most important thing about all of this is like when something breaks, no matter what you're looking at, don't consider it this or that. Follow your rules. And as long as you follow your rules, you should be okay. Michael, if you're going to join me next week, Monday, there's a big name that reports that there's a lot of people on the chat wanting to get your opinion on because I'm bullish on this name. It's Palantir, PLTR. They're going to report on May 6th after market. I have it up right now, just holding under its gapped up anchor VWAP here of 2350. I like this name. They will be at some point added to the S&P 500. Now 5 6 quarters in a row of EPS profitability. Just a matter of time before they get added. I think that's enough of a catalyst to buy the name, but not necessarily ahead of earnings. Is there a spot here where potentially we're wrong? How does Palantir look? It's a little smiley facey down here. I don't know.
The long-term chart looks nice. I drew out a little anchored VWAP from this recent high at $27 or so a share. Again, I know you have Brian Shannon on, so I don't feel like I need to talk about anchored VWAP too much because he's kind of the godfather. But the idea is that if you started to buy Palantir right at this high and you kind of dollar cost averaged into it, this is your price right now. So that means that's kind of a good sentiment point of the market.
Okay, good.
If people are buying this at the worst possible price, that can sometimes be that overhead resistance, is that's the area where sentiment shifts. So for me, if I'm looking at a name like this, I'm simply saying, let me know when it's above that anchored VWAP that's sitting around $24 a share. That would be where I was interested. If we fail too hard into this gap, it means whatever this news catalyst that happened back here, the market's not respecting that anymore and just saying, hey, it's time to move on. So for me, I think that's the play, is pretty simply, if you can get a close above that anchored VWAP, maybe take a shot there. Your stop goes into the gap.
Yeah, it seems like a promising opportunity. And once you're part of the family, Here's Brian Shannon's book right there. You're part of the family. So, hey, and you're part of this one as well. Congratulations on the expansion of your real family, but you always have one here at Trader TV Live and all the viewers, and we all want to say a big thank you to you, Michael. Thanks for those ideas, and we'll have you back pretty much anytime I ask you, because that's how kind of a guy you are. Thank you, Mr. Michael Nauss.
Thanks for having me, and I'm back now, so you can't get rid of me anymore.
Yeah, go find
See you on Friday.
Yeah, find you at Michael Nauss, CMT all over the place. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Ciao. That's it.
Yeah, thank you to Michael Nauss for that. Lots of interesting ideas heading into earnings on the technical side.
Yeah, I love the fact that we can just ask him anything and then talk about some chat there with our lovely people that have attended the chat, because real traders stay late and only over 2,500 of you. So we'll get this going pretty soon because it's time for the roll call. Let's get that roll call going. But before we do that, and I double check on some of the earnings plays because you guys want to see what's good, right? NXPI still making that move up to 260. What a good move it has been for NXPI. Absolutely no pullback at all for that one. MSTR, this is a 5-minute chart right now, so let's just call up MSTR real quick, see what that's doing. A nice little pullback in, so not great for MSTR on the 5-minute chart. Started to get up to 1.3, down into 1.25K, 1.25K to be exactly, quarter of the way to 2,000 there. The other name that we had was Para. So let's go over and find out for Paramount. Not having a great time either, kind of stuck in the middle, and actually a pretty flat report there for Paramount, bringing it into 1220. But we said we would do roll call, so let's do that and hit that up right now. I have to say a big shout out to, of course, Bears vs. Bulls. We can't do this without you. The best in the business. Shout out to Bears vs. Bulls. So let's go. Who's here right now? It's Rich Naples. You're welcome, man. Good night to you as well. A Moto Vlogger. What's up? Mark L. Coin Clocked. Finch Jane, thank you for the Palantir question. Real traders stay late. Kitchen police. Hey, man, if you're in the kitchen, sometimes you need the police because those late night snacks, man, you need to be arrested for having too many of those. We're learning our lesson on that one. What's up to Piper? What's up to Ozen? Rich Naples, Trader Lucy, AV, Marie, Odyssey Flights, AK, Don't Spray, Coin Clocking, Caputi, everybody's there right now. Rob EV, Ryan Lindquist, and Ruben. Thank you so much for everything. And again, a big thank you to Adara for hanging late.
Always happy to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Always happy, eh?
I honestly, I always say this, I am such a nerd about numbers and stuff. I love doing all the research, seeing what's moving in the market, seeing how things react to earnings. And I was saying as well to Brendan, I think as well being here after close helps me have a better understanding of the markets and of the immediate reaction to earnings. So I love being here, and thank you guys all for having me. Thank you, Shawn, for having me.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you to Henry Chung and Zion Lala again in the chat room. Okay. That's Adara LePage. I'm Shawn Catino. Find us all over Twitter and Instagram. We'll be here tomorrow. Well, I will be. Will you be?
I will be here tomorrow.
Then that sounds like a plan. Find us tomorrow at 8:30. We're live again, baby. These go out. Are we doing this as a podcast still? This will go out as a... Go find it on YouTube, wherever, wherever you grab your pods, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao from here. Thank you, Michael Nauss. And Ramin.